It's the 1860s. A bunch of Ivy League dudes in sweaters couldn't kick, but they still wanted to be athletes. So they took rugby's tackling and soccer's strategy and mashed them together until something American came out. Naturally, the first thing they said was, let's make this entire thing about television money. Except they didn't. Not yet. This is the history of the greatest game ever played. Rutgers and Princeton played the first game in 1869. For 50 years, football is mostly who can unalive fewer students. Nerds wanted to ban it, but Teddy Roosevelt, the first football guy to become president, loved the game. He made them invent the forward pass to stop this whole dying thing. Notre Dame becomes the first brand name power by playing all over the country. Army and Navy are dominant because, well, war. Coach Pop Warner used pulling guards, misdirection, and pre-snap motion, literally running fake jet sweeps before jet fuel exists. There's a reason we still know this dude's name. Anyone can claim a national title at any time. Michigan beats up on medical school club teams and claims 50 national championships from 1900 to 1920. Staying on brand, a lot of people south of the Mason-Dixon ascribe to college football creationism. To this day, they believe the game didn't really start until the Southeastern Conference was born in 1932. The Downtown Athletic Club trophy goes through the most effective rebrand in sports, as it's now the Heisman. The first televised college football game airs in 1939. Naturally, it's Fordham versus Waynesburg. World War II moves the Rose Bowl to North Carolina, and thank goodness that did not stick. Once everybody is back, Notre Dame and Army start playing their games on national television. It becomes more effective in getting kids to their school than any propaganda had come up with to date. The new hot scheme is the two-platoon system. It's this wild concept of having different guys play defense and offense. Oklahoma goes on a 47-game win streak from 1953 to 1957. Now you understand why Sooner fans are the way they are. Journalists start to decide who the national champion is with the AP poll. Coaches get upset about the dweebs having so much power, so they start their own poll. We still can have multiple national champions when they disagree. Darrell Royal comes up with the wishbone at Texas. Defenses panic, offenses copy it. And Teddy Roosevelt's forward pass doesn't recover for another 40 years. USC goes down to Tuscaloosa and beats Alabama so bad it forces the SEC to start integrating black players. Sam Bam Cunningham runs for 130 yards and 2 scores, and Bear Bryant makes sure every Southern coach sees it. Back to it. No one wears sleeves anymore. Nebraska and Oklahoma play in the game of the century in 1971. 1 versus 2. Thanksgiving weekend. 55 million people watch. It's the game that makes college football feel national for the first time. But we still have 7 years where there were 2 national champions from 1954 to 1978. The 4-4 defense finally puts an end to the option and the wishbone. The forward pass is so back. A Supreme Court ruling lets schools negotiate their own TV deals. Everyone approaches it very thoughtfully, very demure. The long-term health of the sport is put first. Who am I kidding? You clicked on this video. You know they let the money take over. Miami realizes what the rest of college football hoped they never would. They don't have to leave South Florida to recruit. Howard Schnellenberger locks down every prospect south of the Tampa corridor and wins a natty. SMU gets the death penalty for trying to treat players like actual employees. The audacity. Jimmy Johnson takes over Miami. They stop trying to be America's team. They want to beat America's team by 40 and then let you know about it. BYU wins the natty and the NCAA panics. They respond by making it way harder for anyone weird to win again. Meanwhile, Boise State puts in a blue field. It kills thousands of birds thinking they're dive bombing into a lake. But that offering to Poseidon will lead them to one of the best upsets in the history of the game in about 2 decades. Penn State wins titles in 82 and 86, and Joe Paterno becomes the face of doing it the right way. Doug Flutie throws what becomes known as the Hail Mary, and immediately the thought going through everyone's heads, this guy should sell sex pills. Coaches and journalists still disagree on who the best team is sometimes. Florida State moves into the ACC's house in 1991 and puts their balls on the drum set, winning 9 conference titles in a row. Nebraska is terrifying. Their offense is just the option, violence, and corn-fed linemen. Oh, and steroids. I forgot steroids. sports. Steve Spurrier shows up at Florida and installs the fun and gun offense. He talks trash while wearing the sun visor. It just works. Later, the Pirate, Mike Leach, becomes the Leonardo da Vinci of college football offense's renaissance and invents the air raid. Miami comes back from the dead with one of the 5 best teams ever put together. They're faster, stronger, and more penalized than ever. USC, they're the coolest team on the planet for 5 straight years. The NCAA nukes them into oblivion for letting Reggie Bush exist too hard. Nerds. Before the sanctions, USC does lose in the 2006 National Championship to Vince Young in my generation's greatest game ever played. Mike Gundy reminds everyone how old he is in 2007. Utah crashes big bowl games twice, so they make them join a real conference. The coaches and the dweebs have now ceded their power to choose a national champion to a computer called the BCS system. Chip Kelly is like, man, we gotta stop offering quarterbacks like Max Brown, and dares to ask the crazy question, what if quarterbacks can run and pass? Tim Tebow happens. Urban Meyer's Florida teams are 1 part youth groups, 7 parts true crime documentary. Cam Newton happens, also at Florida, until his tech optimism got him in trouble. Auburn may or may not have paid 6 figures for Cam in one of the greatest individual seasons the sport has ever seen. But the NCAA is more choosy on punishing folks now, so they pretend just not to notice. Johnny Manziel happens. The dude's so fun to watch, we forgive him for anything he ever does. Oregon decides that uniforms and tempo are the future, and they're right. Miss Terry's husband turns Alabama into a machine. Not a team, a machine. He also has this weird thing with exterminators.
The rat poison that you put out there this week was yummy.
There's so much money going around and free labor, so executive and administrator salaries skyrocket. There's also literally enough left over to put so much into facilities that UCF builds a lazy river around their entire facility. Fans lead a revolution against the computer, and the college football playoff is formed. Players start getting paid, but not by the schools, obviously. That would just be crazy. USC and UCLA joined the Big Ten. Texas and OU joined the SEC. The whole concept of geography, yeah, college football has just canceled that. Deion Sanders becomes the most famous coach in America before winning a conference game. The transfer portal becomes college football's version of free agency. We refuse to just call it free agency. The playoff expands, the Pac-12 dies. The Big Ten now stretches from New York to Los Angeles, and nobody knows who's in the ACC anymore. As I was making this video, schools can now kinda pay players on their own. Well, is it better now? Worse? Remember, college football's always been insane. It's egos, it's tribes, it's traditions, it's petty, it's principled, it's a beautiful mess, and that's why we're all here.